Commentary. It helps us understand our great game. But there's some commentary that's rarely heard. The commentary inside the players' heads. In this series, we take you inside the Demons' minds. The highs, the lows, and the psychological side of the game. This is the Melbourne Mindset. Brought to you by IG. Thanks for this, Jack.
No worries, Hayne.
A life of footy, was it always what you wanted to do?
Yes, yep. Never wanted to be an astronaut, policeman, fireman, from as early as I can remember. And maybe my old man had something to do with this, growing up in the change rooms. But yes, from the earliest memory, all I wanted to do was be, an AFL football player.
Did you realise how influential and how brilliant your old man was, sort of captain, 233 games, team of the century, or were you always just Todd's son?
No, I think that's something I've grown to appreciate and understand more as I've gotten older. As a young tacker, he was just my dad. But yeah, as I'm older, even now, understanding how hard AFL football is, looking back and reflecting upon his career, I just find more and more appreciation and admiration for the career my old man had.
A lot of parents are hoping their kids will do X, Y, or Z. I guess Todd was probably hoping you'd follow in his footsteps. Did he push you in any direction or let you find your own path?
He never pushed me, but he understood when I made the decision that AFL was what I wanted to do, and that's where my talent was. And when I was asking my old man for pointers, he was like, okay, well, what are the best ways of helping you achieve your goals and dreams and aspirations? So he was always, pretty hands-on and forthcoming with his advice as a young tacker growing up.
What were his pearls, his wisdoms?
One that stands out in my head is you have to be deserving of success. And that's around your habits, your training habits, your work ethic. You have to give up certain things. If you want to be successful at the elite level, you have to make sacrifices. So, as a young guy, I thought I was not drinking until I was 18. Not going to certain parties because I had football the next day. I would make certain sacrifices growing up. I made sure I was the hardest trainer at local training. These are certain things that probably my teammates at the time thought was, was a bit out there or a bit different, but they were just, the pearls of wisdom from my dad saying, when you get to the elite level, you got to be ready. You got to be, standing out amongst the crowd. You got to be the hardest worker. So these were things that I was chipping away at when, before it probably came into a lot of other people's or kids my age mind.
How old were you when you started to take things seriously and start to sacrifice?
Yeah, I think pivotal moment in my youth and making that decision to really go after footy came when I made the under-12 state team. Andrew Nicol was my coach, and it was the first time, we got given a pamphlet or a booklet where it was, Tuesday night you go home and do 30 touches, 4 games, make sure you drink a certain amount of litres of water. And it was all this stuff. It wasn't just football, became more than just going out for 2 hours on the weekend and having fun with your mates. It became, there's certain things during the week to help set you up for playing well. And I really enjoyed that, playing, that's the highest level you can play at as a 12-year-old is representing your state. We went over to Darwin, which is completely foreign to a Melburnian such as myself, and playing against other states, the best kids in the country. So that whole experience really taught me that there's another levels to go to and achieve, and that excited me.
It's interesting now, when you look at the under-12s, in whatever sport it is, people are starting to focus in on their individual sport, and those that do are clearly standing out. I remember listening to Kobe Bryant, he said, be better at the end of each day. And if you can do that each week and then each month and each year, it's amazing where you end up in 2 or 3 years, 5 years, 10 and 15. And it seems a very simple concept, just be better at the end of the day. But if you actually break it down and make it as simple as that, the process becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we're still at the elite level now. At 11 years in my career, we're still focusing on the process. Because like you said, you get that kind of compounding effect, and it's amazing what you can achieve if you stick to your process. And particularly at an early age, you get the full benefits of the compounding. So that was a decision I made pretty early on as a young guy to really hone in on football.
A life of discipline means a life of sacrifice. What is it that you found most difficult, or has it been pretty easy given the internal drive?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty easy for myself because of that drive, like you spoke about. It was, my full focus was on being an AFL player, being a really good AFL player at a young age. So my drive and my motivation, those sacrifices became easy for me. Certainly made it challenging when you're out on a Friday night, at a house party at 16 years old. Lots of temptations, but the consistent drive of just wanting to be a better player. Mentioned Kobe. Trying to play my best football every weekend. It kind of broke it down for me, made those sacrifices a little bit easier.
When you observe the highest performers in the world at any level, at any sport, what do you see as becoming the common sort of constant?
It's no surprise, and this is something my dad drilled into me as a 10, 12-year-old was, and I'm seeing it now, is the guys who work the hardest are the luckiest. They deserve what they get, and you see guys like Clayton Oliver, Christian Petrarca, Max Gawn, they're having stellar careers, and it's no surprise that they're also the hardest workers. They put the most time into their bodies on their days off. They're getting the most out of themselves when they're at training. So it's just a good reinforcement of the life lessons my dad learned playing football and going through his career, and it's something that I'm continuing to see pop up in my career.
How is the Viney name to carry? For some, it gets heavy. For others, they don't even know it's there. Where did you sit on that?
I didn't really know it was there. I was always really present in trying to forge my own career, my own path. So whilst I was aware of, as I got older and 17, 18, I was aware that my dad was a really good footy player. He's created an opportunity for me to go father-son to the Ds. It didn't really affect, I didn't feel a lot of pressure or expectation as a 18-year-old coming into the football club. It was very much, all right, well, I've got an opportunity in front of me, and how can I add to the Viney legacy at the Melbourne Football Club? Speaking
of dreams, when you're a kid, you dream of playing AFL football, and you dream of coming off the ground, having kicked the goal after the siren, or to standing ovation. Sometimes at Melbourne, that wasn't the case. You'd come off and it was hostile. And I assume on Monday morning it was difficult to get out of bed to go into the coffee shop. Take us through the dark days of Melbourne.
I remember the draft process, speaking to the Melbourne Football Club the year before I got drafted, and we weren't in good shape. I think we'd been beaten by 200 points down in Geelong. We lost Dean Bailey. The club was not in great shape, and I knew that to be a successful team, to be part of the team, we had to something had to change at Melbourne Football Club. And being a young, naive 18-year-old, full of confidence, I thought I could be a catalyst for that. I wanted to get in there, get my hands dirty, and really try and help the club move forward. So that was my intention going into the Ds. Was we need to change. And then, we go through a really strong pre-season. We get lots of young draft picks. Myself, Jimmy Tumpus, a couple of young guys, and we, gifted debuts straight off the bat, and come out against Port and we get beaten by 80 points, I think. and then the next week's about 150 points against Essendon. And I remember after that Essendon game, walking off the ground, and I'm hearing this booing from the crowd. And I remember talking to someone, I was like, I don't remember the umpires being that bad. I'm thinking they're booing the umpires. But then as we get closer to the race, you see the D's fans kind of leaning over the race, then they're throwing their scarves and memberships at us and hurling all kinds of abuse. And as an 18-year-old, I was kind of happy to play. I was like, I just played on the MCG. Still a dream come true. But, as we got down the race, I'm seeing my teammates, senior players actually crying. And that was a bit of an eye-opener. And then, the same theme throughout the year. We lost, Mark Neal ended up getting, losing his job halfway through the year. So the pressure just continued to mount. And it became quite not a fun space to come work during the day. You're getting door stopped by media as you come into the door about, why are you guys so bad? Is your coach going to lose his job? So, yeah, it was just a negative environment. It's hard to get up and motivated during the start of the day to face that. But luckily I was young and playing AFL football, so I still had that, that drive to get up and want to try and get better each day.
Did you early on associate performance with identity?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Less now?
Less now. As a young guy, you buy into social media. You're reading everything that you find on yourself, and it's that one little bit of praise that gets you coming back, because you just want to feel validated. You want to feel, special and respected. And then over time, I've realised that my emotion is it's kind of it's either down here if people don't rate you, and then if you get some praise, you're on top of the world. And these highs and lows were so extreme that it just wasn't sustainable for your mental health. So I've kind of learned over my career to really just hone in on my family, my day-to-day, what I enjoy. I don't read newspapers, I don't have Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. And I felt like that's helped kind of balance out those emotional highs and lows. And that's something that I've learned over the career, but things still find their ways of creeping in and can have impacts on your mental health.
I remember someone explaining it to me. You're in a big room and there's a few doors. One door is family and friends. You love going in there. The other is movies and music. Terrific, go in there. Food and stuff you like drinking, third door. Sports door. There's a door there with snakes and alligators and poisons and toxins. Would you ever go in there? No. For me, that's social media.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm just not wired to be able to cope with negativity. So I assume you're the same. There's Charlotte and there's Todd, Meg, close friends. Listen to them, take advice from them. The rest is sort of talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, of course. And I see young guys make these mistakes, which I did at that age.
You tell them to avoid it now?
Yeah, absolutely. Why would you even put yourself in that situation to get, people's opinions affect you and bring you down? Even with my wife, she loves getting on social media and reading her comments and this and that, and she got one bad comment. I was like, why would you do it?
Destroys you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's bad people out there, and they want to tell you what their thoughts are. But it's something that I've learned over 11 years of this stuff, continually being bombarded with it. Whereas my wife, she doesn't get that all the time, and these young guys they haven't got it for years and years. So everyone's at different stages of picking that up, I guess.
Do you ever get comfortable as an AFL player? I remember speaking with Chris Judd. He said at the start you're desperate to get selected and get a game. And then when you do, you're trying to make sure you get another one. Then you become Brownlow medalist. And you're trying to maintain the top of the tree sort of feel. And then there's a gradient coming. So he said at no point do you actually ever get comfortable.
I never won I haven't won a Brownlow, but
You've won the best and fairest. You've won a Premier.
Yeah. You know, I've got players like Christian Petrarca, Clayton Oliver in my midfield. So just having those people in there, it's like I need to continue to get better and strive. So yeah, not one point have I felt comfortable and complacent playing football. I've always felt there's levels of my game to go, and almost my greatest fear would be finishing an AFL career and not having maximised my talent or my opportunity. So that continually drives me, and as you get closer to the back end of your career, it's almost becomes heightened because you're running out of time. So you just try and squeeze everything you can out of yourself.
2 daughters, they need a medallion each.
Absolutely, yeah. Plenty of motivation and fire in the belly to create some more memories for the family.
Really
and
enjoyed the
fans.
chat.
Me too.
Thank you,
Thanks,
mate.
Hamish.
What a great insight into how Jack's been able to build a career that has rivaled his father's. He's forged his own path and overcome plenty of pressure along the way. As important for players as it is for traders. So whether it's in the markets or on the field, mastering your mindset is a vital way to help you perform at your best. For Melbourne's official trading partner IG, this is the Melbourne Mindset.